Okay, all right. Welcome to another off-panel interview brought to you by the Indie Corner Podcast. I'm your host, Mikey, and today people are back doing another interview for you. And here with me today is an artist and newfound friend that I've known for the past, I don't know, like year or two. We'll say 2 years, year or two. We'll do that. Yeah, he's an artist, designer, a graphic designer, writer, and now with his own, promoting his own book, the creator of the book Star Wielder that's up on Kickstarter right now is none other than Jay Hero. How you doing, Jay?
Hey, what's up, Mikey? I'm all right. How about you?
I'm good, man. You know, busy day, another dollar, but looking forward to this, man. I was looking forward to this the whole day, so I'm happy to have you on here, bro, for real.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
And good seeing you again, because we've been talking, off camera. We've been talking and texting for a while now, but it's nice to actually see you again after.
I know I haven't seen you since BlurCon. I think.
I know. I was missing you too. I thought you were gonna come this year, but I was like, it is. What
I didn't. I didn't have the money, honestly, to do any of the cons this year. So
fair.
They're so expensive to like get into.
Don't even
tables and I'm like, oh, I don't have that, y'all.
Don't even get me started, man. I'm the same thing. I only did Blurred this year, and then after that, I was just I just need time to just to start making more stuff and step up the con game a little bit. So I'm just taking a little sabbatical for right now.
That's okay. Yeah, do your thing. You come back bigger and better than ever. That's fine.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's learn and grow. So that's what I've been doing for the past while. So. But yeah, all right, Jay. Listen, again, happy to have you on here. So that's the thing with on our podcast when we do interviews, I always start with an icebreaker question so that our audience can get to know you. And it's very cliche. I always feel bad asking this question because I feel like everyone asks this question. But yeah. So my question for you, Jay, just to start it off, what is your comic book origin story? How do you fall in love with comic books? I know, very cliche. It's very cliche.
No, that's fine. I think it's a great question. Consider all things considered. I think my segue into comics was through Superman. Starting from as early as I can remember, the Superman the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I was the kid who was dressed up. I had this like Halloween costume that I wore like 3 years or so past the expiration date. That was a little stretched and torn, and I was standing in front of the fan with my costume and ask my Kate Billowin to win, and it inspired me to want to create and to dive into the world of comics, Superman.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was through that I eventually discovered the various worlds that were out there. But what I did notice was that there was a lack of characters that did look like me, who were given prominent positions and roles, things of that sort. But moving forward into, toward today, it was a point in time where I kind of took a step back from comics and things like that. And then I think it was during the New 52 where I came to revisit comics. That was such interesting time to come back to comics. But
I know.
I
know, trust me.
Yeah. And so it was like, ever since then, it's been on and off, because I know with the big two specifically, the events, and there are some exceptions. Like, for example, from what I have read of Absolute Wonder Woman, for example, has been great. What I've seen of it, and also some of the other Absolute titles have been interesting too. But there have been some exceptions. Storm has been a very fun ride.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are some exceptions, but overall, I think what's missing from the big two is stories that feel relevant to today. I think that's where people are asking for. Like, these big events are okay, but that gets tiresome after a while. People want stories that sort of mirror and reflect the times. And so moving forward, I just started gravitating towards indie comics, because obviously that's where a lot of those stories were, because people were actually courageous and bold enough to tell them. So yeah, that's kind of like my journey.
I got you for sure. I mean, I get it too. I mean, I grew up, loving Marvel and DC for years, and then until I was in middle school, high school, that's when I started dipping my toe into indie stuff more, because I think I went full on indie. Like, I took a break from the big two once. I think like all new, all different Marvel happened, and that was like 2016. So I was like, I'm gonna take a break. The stories weren't working out for me. So that's when I discovered Invincible for the first time, and I was like, This is it. But over the years, like I would read comics like Marvel, DC, but I would like read like a little bit of Scott Pilgrim here and there, or like Bone. I was a huge Bone kid growing up, so like did my toe, but I didn't commit until high school, and I was like, you know what, I gravitated more towards the indie route, so more so when I was looking up, how creators that look like us have in this space have done in the industry, discovered Milestone. That changed everything for me.
Yeah.
Just to see, there's a group of talented Black creators that started their own thing within DC, and unknowing to me, created one of my favorite characters, Static, who's like one of my favorite characters of all time. So, yeah, it's I understand that truly. And real quick, just a side tangent, because you said Superman was like your intro to comics. What did you think of James Gunn's Superman? If you've
It's interesting. I'm like, I haven't seen it yet. I know.
Seen it?
Because I've been so busy, man.
I understand.
Busy. Also financially, I've been struggling. I haven't had the time or the money to go see the movie. Yeah, I'm waiting for it to probably come out on streaming. But I have a little money now, so I might be able to go see it finally. But I've been like, every time I see a clip on the timeline, I know it's been a long time since it came out, but I'm still dodging stuff or lying. Like, I know it's been weeks, but man, I'm trying to wait. But I want to go. I don't usually take myself to go see the movies by myself, but this is the first movie I actually do that with. I've never done that before.
Okay.
Yeah, so
it's not that bad. It's not that bad of an experience. Just go by yourself.
Because I'm like, I don't have a problem with doing things by myself, but with the movies, I'm so used to going with other people and having that experience.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
I'll give it a shot, but I'm sure it's nice.
Listen, whenever you do watch it, I mean, I think it's on VOD right now to rent. And I think
some platforms that it's on there.
Yeah, I think it's still in theaters. Like, it's still at like the last leg of its theater run. But
yeah.
I wholeheartily think, knowing you and knowing and now discovering your love for Superman, I think you'll love this movie. I loved it. We reviewed it on the channel, and
that's exciting.
And for me personally, I kind of grew out of Superman when I was younger, a little bit, but I gravitated more towards John Henry Irons. I'm a big Steel fan. Like, I love that character. But like, watching that movie like reactivated my love for Superman again. Like,
I have been hearing that a lot. Like, people have been talking about like, oh my God, like this is, I don't know, it's just been a resurge of energy around this movie about Superman. I'm like, what? This is interesting.
Like you said, I love how you said that, like, you used to have like a Superman Halloween costume, you wore continuously. Me growing up, I had a Superman onesie that had a cape attached when I was a child.
I love it.
And I used to sit down and watch like Superman the Animated Series, Justice League. Watching that movie took me back to like, I feel like I was a kid in front of the TV, applesauce, like with a smile on my face the whole time. It was incredible. So I think you're gonna have a good time.
Let me go ahead and get to that right quick.
No pressure.
Yeah, I mean, all the pressure, because I need to go see it, take my ass to see it. I'm honestly like, oh my goodness. Okay, well,
but when you do, I want to hear your thoughts on that. Like, you text me right away. Like, Mikey, but yeah, man, that's awesome. But so I'm actually, so this also access as well, just to bounce off of that. So are they? I mean, I know I looked into you. I did some little research, because honestly, when we met, I was like, okay, like he's I knew you were an amazing, talented artist, but like I thought you were doing fan art. I didn't know that like you also, like, most of this art that you've done for that DC work is actual cover work for DC, which is, I mean, congrats to you on that. That's amazing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, some of the work that I did, was like with the John Stewart, the Emerald Knight cover, and I did a couple other covers for DC, but the other ones were just fan art, then original pieces too. So yeah.
Are there any? I want to know. Are there any? If you had an opportunity to, like, work on any characters from the big two, or even in the indie world, what do you have any dream characters you have on that list? Like, I gotta work on this one. I gotta work on this one.
Yeah. Like if someone called me up, say, hey, I would love you to do this cover or this thing. Of course, I would love to do a Superman cover. That's just a given. Like, give me some Superman. But of course, also, Diana, Storm. What's interesting?
What's up?
I haven't drawn Batman in 10 years.
I haven't drawn Batman in around that time.
Yeah, you know, I just thought about it. I've drawn Superman, I've drawn Diana recently, but I just have not had any interest in drawing Bruce.
I would
And,
love to see your interpretation of Batman. Actually,
and you know what? It's not. I might revisit it because I'm getting the urge. I might end up drawing like who designs that I really love. I really enjoy is the Batwoman. I forgot with the red and black. I love her color scheme and the design. It's very
absolutely.
nice. But I don't know. I might give it a shot because dark and brooding. I can do that in my art, but I haven't drawn Batman in a while. But yeah, that's kind of where I am with that.
The thing is, like, I haven't drawn Batman in a long time, but like ever since I watched The Batman, I was like, I'm getting a sudden urge to just draw Batman ever since then. And like,
I haven't seen that either. Oh my god,
you gotta watch that.
was that good?
Actually, okay, that is your homework. You gotta watch Superman whenever you can. Again, no pressure. But then
Yeah, the Batman. Okay.
But like, it's just like that's a must. But
okay.
But like, I don't know why. Like recently, like I've been like, I've been kind of want to draw like that version of Batman a lot because I love how grounded that film is.
Yeah.
And also like Batman Beyond, like, 'cause I'm a huge Batman Beyond fan. Like, that is my iteration of Batman is Terry McGinnis Batman Beyond. I love it. So
even today, I feel like it feels in some ways fresh.
Yeah.
Because of just how, and so like even the art style and whatnot, what Bruce Timm's art style was ahead of his time in some ways. But yeah, Batman Beyond for sure is very a classic.
And and thing is, like, I know you mentioned covers, but would you like say like do interiors, like actually like do like a committed like arc with interiors with any of these dream characters? Maybe I know you're kind of dipping your toe in, but I was just curious. If that's like
there's a bit of hesitancy because I'm still trying to find my voice in that area.
Yeah,
interiors are a bit are different than like covers because even with Star Wielder, I'm like, damn. You want to redo these pages? But I'm like, don't do that. Because I'm like, even like as I'm like learning new things about myself creatively, even in this short span of time, I'm like, man, I can apply this to this and to this page and that page, and yes, there's a lot of that going on. But yeah, I'm still trying to find my voice sequentially. I feel like I definitely for the cover work, I feel like I'm nailing that for sure.
Same. I'm in the same journey as well. But like before I even start anything, like a comic or like that, I'm just trying to get the reps up because I'm been out of the game for a little bit,
So. Understandable, and I realized too that I've noticed that for me, I've gotten better at drawing as an artist with doing comics because when you do comics, you're doing like 100 drawings,
absolutely,
or plus drawings, and of course page 1 is going to look different than page 50. By the time you're done with the book. And so that was something that as a perfectionist, that was something that I was struggling with too, because I was like, man, if I evolve as an artist, is my style going to look, or is my art going to look drastically different than when I start the book and when I finish? And I was like, no, it's not. It's just go with it, have fun. And that's the key thing too. You want to make sure that as you're creating your story, your book, or your whatever project it is you're working on, you're having a good time.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the thing too. It's just like, and as artists, especially in this day and age, we're so, because like of social media and imposter syndrome and being and burnout. It's becoming a real issue of artists. Making work for the sake of getting exposure. You forget, or for the sake of for a job, for a check, but we're not just finding the love of drawing. Is something that's tough for a lot of artists out there from people I know and for me personally. So it's just discovering to draw for the sake of play, like how you used to when you were kids. Exactly. It's just discovering that is something that I'm trying to do right now. So no, I get that for sure. But I think I didn't even have this as a question, but because we were talking off camera beforehand, so I don't write things. I try to write things down, but I end up throwing my notes away. I just throw them away. So it's just, I just kind of go off rip. But you mentioned like while I'm off camera that you studied graphic design like myself. I studied digital arts and media design, but specialized in graphic design. Is there any lessons you took from as a graphic designer that you any lessons or some of the principles of design that you learned through school with your degree you incorporate with your stuff with illustration or with comics? Like, how explain that? Do you have any a connection with that?
I mean, really, the main thing is just what connects those two things, or those things is storytelling. Design graphic design, really any design in general, is about storytelling. Art in
Mhm.
general, in a lot of ways, is about storytelling. So
Absolutely.
if you understand that connection and you understand those precepts as to how, for example, with design, when you arrange different shapes and you choose different typefaces and you choose different patterns and textures and sizes and what in the compositions that
Mhm.
implies, that can apply a variety of different things. For example, when you have say you have a poster and the type is very small on the poster, that reads differently than if the type is very large, because it implies the message is important or there's a sense of urgency
Mhm.
versus, and that little bit of storytelling can be also carried over into the visual art or illustration space as well. For example, where you take those same precepts, taking a small part of the composition and comparing it to a large part of the composition, it reads differently
Mhm.
when it comes to how you arrange things from a sense of scale, from a sense of depth, from a sense of with color, with value, texture, all those things. Those are very much connected. So again, storytelling is really the connective tissue that ties those things together.
Absolutely. And now it makes more sense because I'm not. But I've seen your work, and I'm just like, yeah. And I feel like this man is a designer. He gets the way you do your compositions, the way you use color, the way you have a sense of balance and unity and depth within your work. You can tell that, yeah, like even though when you're in school we learn about the principles of design, like unity, balance, color,
Mhm,
composition,
mhm.
but uh but when we transition to more people, because there are designers that can't really draw, but
Yeah, that's
they
fine.
can,
Yeah.
which is fine. But like but when also you have the added edge of being an illustrator, you realize that those principles are universal to any kind of medium, like because it involves storytelling. So
Mhm.
I was curious on, like, what you thought of that connection, because I was like, yeah, but it makes sense looking at your work. I was like, yeah, it makes sense that he has those principles down to a T, which makes sense. Like, yeah, he probably is a designer. Plus, I saw your logos and your stuff, and was like, if he
Yeah.
designed those logos, I would
Yeah, those
I
are
would be very impressed.
well,
I love your logos, man.
oh, thank you.
But but yeah, so we'll just to talk more further of, like, more about your work, because I have some slides and stuff just to show the people what your art is. But yeah, man, I was just, as I said earlier, I mean, when we met at BlurCon last year it was last year.
Yeah,
um
last year.
yeah, sorry, I took a shot.
Oh,
I was like,
yeah,
was it last year? Was
yeah,
it 2 years ago? No,
yeah,
it was last year, because remember they changed
yeah. I
the
know.
month, so it's a little weird. But yeah, I was an admirer of your work from the beginning. I love the detail, the color, the compositions, and also your print game was crazy. I just want to let you know your print
Oh,
game
thank
is
you.
crazy. Like, you were doing metal prints and all these different foil prints. Oh, this okay.
Yeah,
I gotta step it up. But man, but I just wanted to know, what were your what were your influences with your style? Because I think your style is reminds I think of a bunch of different people, of influences. I could see a little bit of, like, Torrin Clark in your style. I could see a little bit of, like, Brian Stelfreeze, in your style a lot. A little bit of Alex Ross maybe in there as well. So can you tell us, like, how did you come up with this style, for with your work?
yeah. I mean, I grew up as a big fan of, for example, Alex Ross was probably one of my first favorite artists
Same here.
that I gravitated towards, specifically because of his dramatic depiction of characters and how he depicted moments and scenes. And there was a sense of gravitas that you get from his depiction of certain characters, or just really the characters he draws in general. So there's that. There's also yes, Brian Stelfreeze is a one of my inspirations as well. I'm also thinking of a local artist in the Detroit area,
Hmm.
Tylon Sawyer. He's one of my old professors and also one of my inspirations as well with regards
Nice.
to his work. Um, but again, and I'm thinking, who else can I? There's just a variety of different artists that I pull and draw from, and honestly, it also really depends on what I'm trying to go for in a certain piece as well. But for the most part, I feel like Alex Ross has been one of the biggest driving forces for me when it comes to my art. But I'm learning, like you mentioned, Torin, and you mentioned, and also Louis LaRosa is also a very exceptional and talented guy.
I'm gonna add that to the list. I've never heard of them.
Yeah, he does a lot of traditional stuff, I believe, and tries a lot of I love his rendering of just how he does composition and renders. Yeah, he does a lot of traditional stuff in the comic book space. But
I've seen his stuff before, though. I'm looking at it. I'm like, yeah, I've seen this before.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? Anything you can think of?
I'm trying to think if there's anyone else. I mean, I'm sure they will come to mind. But there's a number of people. But those.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's hard for me to have lists because I get inspired by pretty much anybody, even the artists that I don't like.
And I want to mention Basquiat as well. It's another.
Mine. Stop. Okay, yeah. I knew I loved you because Basquiat is like one of my biggest inspirations. Because I'm originally from New York. So.
Oh wow. Okay.
So he's from. I think he was from Brooklyn, but I'm originally from Queens. But I love Basquiat. His work, his mind, his work ethic is insane. I don't know if you ever seen the stories of him.
Yeah, I've seen some documentaries
and stuff. It is. So yeah, I incorporate a lot of, especially recently in the past few years with my stuff, because my stuff has been more Afro-centric the past couple of years now. He's been a big influence on my work for sure. So I get it. I want a tattoo. I want a Samo tattoo on me.
I love that. I think what gravitates me towards him, and it was specifically within Star Wielder that was there's some inspiration that I'm drawing from him in the story.
Mm-hmm.
But it's his sense of expressionism in his art, his stroke, like how the emotions in his strokes and his mark making and his color choices and just the overall compositions, and how he just was really intending to sort of defy certain norms in spaces, just simply from his art and just with his existence alone. Like that was really interesting, especially for that time.
Absolutely. And yeah, I mean, I'll say some of mine because obviously we're both artists. So I'm gonna play off with you. I'm gonna say some of mine. For me, Alex Ross definitely. If I had it, I gave my coworker for him to borrow, but I have his Marvel art book, Marvelocity.
Okay.
I recommend it if you want to get a good insight on his work. It is gorgeous. But Alex Ross definitely. Ryan Otley from Invincible, for sure. Joe Quesada, I'm a big Joe Quesada guy because I'm a huge fan of his Daredevil. I can see that from back in the day. I have all of it collected. I'm a huge fan of his Daredevil work. Kari Randolph, I love Kari Randolph.
Oh yeah, very dynamic, very energetic.
Very kinetic. Kari Randolph is amazing. I want Step. You ever heard of an name Stepan Sejic before?
I think I've heard of them.
He is an artist from Croatia. He does. He was the first digital artist I've ever heard. I saw growing up. Very nice painted style. He does a book called Sunstone for Image. I don't know if you ever heard of it before. But he did Sunstone. He did Witchblade, The Darkness, those from those Image characters. And Kari Andrews. Kari Andrews is another artist I like. I'm obsessed with. He did Iron Fist, The Living Weapon, and he has a book called Renato Jones, The 1%, which is an amazing book for Image. Yeah, he has a very kind of like Kari, a very very kinetic, loose style. He's great. So those are some of the artists that I love. I mean, I could name more, but we're on a tight ship right now. We're gonna stay on track. Just a lot of good talent out there. Absolutely, I love a lot of great talent. So a lot of great talent to look at and be inspired by for sure, man. But all right, so just to keep going, man. So my next question is to talk more about your style, your art. Again, when I was looking at images, I'm like, man, I know I've seen some of your stuff. been holding out on you. You have amazing work. I want to know. Give me an idea. Give me some insight on your process. Like what's your process when creating, a cover or an illustration? Like how do you start?
It's interesting that you chose these. These are like the I would say like first generation pieces that I did from my studio, because I like these are the pieces I did like back in 2022.
Yeah.
So definitely my style has evolved a little bit since then. But I think for that for sure, like even there's still the process is somewhat similar, or it's still similar in a lot of ways. But it's really just figuring out what kind of moment I want to capture, and choosing the character, figuring out what moment I want to capture, what kind of emotions do I want to evoke. For example, if I'm choosing Storm, if I know that I want to capture her in a very powerful or sort of majestic moment, one thing that I like to do, that I encourage other artists to do, is to act as the character you're looking to draw. Literally get up and pretend to be Storm. I would pretend to be Storm. Like I'm like, okay, I'm like, how does it feel to be this weather goddess? I'm like, okay, let me feel what that feels like, and then like draw it. Like that's one approach you can have to helping to embody your characters. And even if you want to use your body as a reference, like you see Storm posing in certain ways, you want to make sure that you're posing in certain ways to see what that feels like, to see if that pose feels natural, if it looks good. So I would encourage people to like really do something like that, like to really act out their characters that they do in their artistic process. And also when you are drawing, this is what I do in my process as well, try not to be so rigid, have fun. It's okay to have your process, but be open to exploration, to new things, to unexpected things. Sometimes there have been moments where I would be working on a drawing, I'm like, oh my God, this is ugly as hell, and then I'm like and then 2 hours later I'm like, okay, let me keep working on it, and then I'm like, oh my God, okay, wait a minute, this is kind of okay,
I think the same way.
See, and
I started off being like, man, this is gonna be trash. This is gonna be garbage. And then I was like, oh, I'll keep working on it, or whatever. And then like when it gets towards like the middle or the end point, I'm like, yeah, okay.
You said, wait a minute, I'm glad I stuck around, because
you surprise yourself. I love that feeling, even though it's like it's not the healthiest way to think, but like I like that feeling. Like, oh wow, I did a good job. Okay, all right.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing too. You got to be patient with yourself, because sometimes you're going to go through that ugly phase of your art, or whatever you want to call it, where it doesn't look the most attractive. It's not supposed to look the best in that stage, but just go trusting yourself, trusting your process. That's something that I try to do with my process as well. So there's a lot of not only doing a lot of physical things when I'm drawing as well, but also mental. There's drawing is mental as much as it is physical too.
Absolutely, for sure. And that's the thing too. Let's rewind the tape. I've always heard of being your own reference. I've been my own reference before. Just take photos of myself. Just in
of course, yeah.
But like with you, I've never heard of anyone like acting, like perform. And you said you have like a dance. You have a dance background. So just performing just to capture like the essence of who this character is. I like that. I'm gonna give that a try.
Try it, yeah.
People listen to him. You know what he's talking about. That's new.
For this piece here, for the static and Miles, Virgil Miles, I actually did some parkour. I jumped off a building.
Oh,
wow. No, I didn't do that.
Was crazy. I was a man of many talents. Wow.
No. I would bust my ass, man. No way.
That's funny.
No.
But I would assume for the Nubia, which is a beautiful piece, you kind of get that stature going and just try to embrace the essence of that character. Exactly. And it shows, because I mean, with a lot of the stuff you've done that I've seen, you can feel like even with these two again, which when we met, the first thing I saw was your steel, and I was like, I fell in love. But even when with your image of Joe from Far Sector, it's just like you can feel that. we can feel the presence of power within this individual, kind of like how Alex Ross does when you see a painting that he does, you can feel, you know, the power or like the mythological presence of the character that he's capturing. So I feel you do the same thing with your work for sure.
You know, well, you might give me a little inspired to maybe redraw these. I don't know. Keep talking. I might
okay. But and just so you know, real quick, when I was looking at your Static and your Miles, because again, I'm a huge like Static, Miles are like my two favorite characters. Yeah. I was looking at, I was like, damn, I thought I was the only one that did a Static Miles crossover, specifically using.
Oh no, there's other people too. Yeah.
Yeah, real quick, we'll do a side tangent. I'm gonna show you mine because I literally was like, all right,
let's do it.
I don't know if I ever show you this piece, but yeah, I did this like the year we met. I did this one, and you know, so I was like,
oh, look at that.
I was like, dang, I thought I was the only one who did. That's a Static Miles crossover.
Oh no, man! Listen, I've seen many comics. I've seen all kinds of Static Miles stuff. So we are not the only ones out here. But this is great. I like it.
I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. Yeah, this is one of my favorite pieces I've done. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it kind of shows that like, you know, all ideas stem from, you know, the same place.
Everybody loves, you know, Static. I got actually a second piece I was working on with Static Miles versus Sandman. That was yeah.
Okay. All right. You can show me that off camera. We already see people yet. We already blessed them too much with your work already. They can wait for that. They can wait for that. But so my next question I want to ask you, because again, I've already mentioned it before. Like, you know, I think what really shines with your work, and what's really been an inspiration for me personally with your work is the way you use color. Like I love the way you use color. Like it's especially like with these pieces, all your pieces, but like with these pieces specifically, it's just like it's so vibrant and so saturated. Like it's just how do you interpret, you know, color within your work? How do you make color stand out? Because I've never seen an artist use color the way you use color, you know.
What do I do? I just experiment. Like I said, just explore. I don't know for these pieces exactly. I don't remember the exact settings or, you know, whatnot, but I just know that I explore. I would just do things that you think that wouldn't work and try that anyway. You know, and I would say create with courage is what I would say. Be bold, take risk. And that's what, and you get results. Like, for example, I don't know if I even intended to, like this effect with Storm, for example. I didn't know how I was going to do this. I think this might have been a mistake, but I was going through the blending settings when I was using Photoshop at the time. And I was like, oh my God. And I came across this one setting that made this effect. I was like, okay.
Trial and error.
Yeah, exactly. Trial and error. And you can see, like, if you looked at the pieces before this, you can see what I was playing around with before, and until I got to this point. So
okay, fair enough. I mean, I love it. I love how, you know, you send as well capturing the essence. You really incorporate that, you know, with just the way you use color in your work. I'm obsessed with it. I've been obsessed with it since we met. I was like, oh, I got something color here. But it's true though. You kind of have to just like trial and error, especially when, you know, you work. I mean, we both work digitally, so like there's just trial and error to see what works. You know, I kind of created if you've seen my portraits, especially like my fairy portraits, like you inevitably kind of like, you know, when you're testing things out, you kind of low key just create your own method of doing things. Like, you know, so I have my own painting style when I do my portraits, and obviously you have your own painting style when you do your illustrations and stuff like that. So yeah, it's interesting the way you can mess with color and just, you know, sometimes it can work, sometimes it doesn't work, you know, but it's all about taking that risk.
That's okay.
And it was funny, literally like this morning while I was, because then I work at a desk, so literally I just put on a podcast or a video, just start working. Listen, there was a video I saw. I might send it to you after this. I'll send it to you after this, but it's an artist video. So the title was just called "Great Artists Don't See Color, They Eat It," and I was like,
"Oh wow, interesting."
I don't know what you mean,
well, let me click on it.
But I felt that. I felt that.
I said, I don't know, but I like that. You ate that.
For sure. But yeah, I mean, and this is all I have for the slides. There were a ton of pieces I want to put here, but I was like, for the sake of time, I'm just gonna put my 3 favorite ones.
Yeah.
And that's it. But again, your work is incredible. We're gonna continue talking about your work. I'm gonna continue to gas you up. We're not done yet. I'm just giving you as many praise and compliments as I can throughout the course of the interview. So, but yeah. So so now you're working on stuff. You've done cover work for a long time, illustration. So now you're building up, the confidence of like, hey, I want to actually make a comic, right?
Mm-hmm.
So and obviously I know you for your art, but I'm very curious on what's it been like, writing, what experience do you have writing, and like, what did you have to, learn in order to, make sure you're telling the most effective story that you can, the most authentic story you can. Well, give me thoughts on like your writing processes.
Yeah, I think for me as a writer, which is still, I mean, I've been writing on and off for a long time, but I've never written anything in the comic book medium except for really 2 times, which the first time was in 2023, where I wrote a 10-page Star Wielder story for an anthology, and then now this book, which was originally started off as a graphic novel. The first draft was 200 and something pages. My mentor at the time said, I said, no, it's fine. It can work. And then I started doing the drafts and writing some more. I was like, oh, shoot, he's right. So I got to narrow it down. So
naive.
you get so excited about, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, but then you learn a lot as you go. And so it ended up being 150 pages. And then that 150 pages is now what the comic book series for the first arc of the story is going to be. So through that time, I was able to learn a lot about myself as a writer through, for example, practicing empathy. I don't think, I find it difficult to be an artist and not be transformed by your process. For example, if you are writing characters that have nothing to do with your identity, like Kiara, the main character of my story, is a little Black girl, young Black girl. I've never been a Black girl before. I've been a Black boy, but I've never been a Black girl. So writing a character like that sort of encourages or inspires me to learn more about that experience, to learn more about, the struggles and the hardships, and also the joys of Black womanhood and Black girlhood, that are so important to, that identity. Similar to characters who are trans, who are also in my story. So it really inspired me to be a better person. As writing has inspired me to be a better person, a better human, be more open, empathetic, but it's also inspired me to be a lot kinder to myself and the world, because it's taught me to look at the world through introspection, or reflectively, and through introspection and through just intention. Because when you look through an empathetic lens, you understand that how connected a lot of things are in the world. And so that really informs how you approach your writing, or even the tone of your writing, for example. So for example, some people may have more of a pessimistic tone in their writing, some have a more optimistic tone in their approach. And so for me, I'm still discovering my style, still discovering my voice as a writer, especially as I'm sort of trying to figure out who I am in this space. Because in some ways, this is still new and fresh for me. So I think at this time, outside of Star Wielder, I've written maybe 4 other scripts for other stories that are outside of this story, even a separate story that's not even with Star Wielder. But it, again, even with practicing that, it's allowed me to just even sharpen myself as an illustrator too. Because again, going back to storytelling, writing obviously is about storytelling. And so if you can sharpen yourself as a writer, you just imagine what those precepts and principles that you carry over storytelling wise could do to your visual art skills as well. And I feel like I've improved in that area too.
Mm-hmm. All right, yeah, that's amazing. I mean, yeah, you kind of, building a little bit of self-discovery and, confidence in what you're doing. That's amazing. Also, how it's tapped into the world around you, especially like, especially with your character, Kiana. It's Kiara.
Yep, Kiara.
Kiara. Okay, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
But just the idea of just how can I tune into a perspective that I've never experienced before, as being, her being a young Black woman. So that empathy, I think, is really important, especially, when it comes to writing compelling characters, especially because it's easy to mess something like that up, but it's just, try taking the time to, just empathize and, just, look into different, like, take inspiration from everything around you to create a character that, and that not only you can connect with, but anybody connected when they read it. I think that's very important for sure.
Yeah.
And well, I think the writing, you're doing good. You're getting your reps in, So that's you're doing a good job for sure. But yeah, I mean, the thing is for me too. It's just like I'm so used to just drawing that, like, just writing, it's just like, I love to write, but I feel like when I take the leap that you're taking right now when it comes to making a book, it's gonna, I'm very curious to, like, to have that sense of play with writing, just take, explore ideas, connect,
you have a ball.
Empathize, I hope so.
I think you will have a ball. I feel like writing it's been although it's laborious, don't get me wrong,
absolutely,
but it's a lot of fun when you like get an idea, you're like, oh my god, you got to start writing it down, and you're like, oh my god, this scene, I know what I want to do. Or you're like sitting with this scene for a long time, you're like, I just don't know what I want to do. And then you watch this show or watch something, you're like, that's it, and you get to it, just like in the movies. You like, and this is a whole montage of you writing for hours.
Yeah, exactly. and it's funny because, like, I have so many ideas, and I literally have a Google Doc of just all my ideas. Every time I watch something, a TV show, a movie, or anything, I just like, idea. Then I just start like,
there we go. Keep it. So. And for me, I gotta get it when it first comes to my mind, because I got a list of ideas too. I haven't done anything and written anything down in there in a while, but I used to have a thing where I used to when an idea first came in my mind, I would immediately go to my notes app in my phone and then type it in.
Absolutely. Any writers in particular that have been inspiring to you? In terms of not just with Star Wars, but just like your just writing journey in general.
Yeah, I think. What I've been leaning towards right now, the books that I've been reading, I have to actually finish reading it. Well, I can say some of the books that I have been reading, or I'm in the process of reading, have read in process of reading. It's Not Nowhere Spider by Greg Elise.
Shout out to Greg. Shout out to Greg. We had him on here like last month.
Oh yeah, also Greg is great.
Yeah, he's a friend. I love Greg. He's amazing.
Yeah, he's I've known him for a while. Paper Girls. Superman Birthright, I've been reading. Also, Bitterroot has been one of the
Bitterroot. Shout out to them too. Shout out to them too.
I've been tapping in different areas a bit. Again, to try to find my voice, similar to like my art. Trying to find my voice as a writer, to figure out who I align with a lot more. I also want to get into more of Toni Morrison and Octavia Butler. Also, N.K. Jemisin, I would love to get into her work too. More of her novelization or her novels. So there's a lot of homework I still need to do with regards to that. But that's kind of where I am right now, honestly.
So writer, I've been wanting to read like Ta-Nehisi Coates' work for years.
Oh yeah,
outside of comics, I've read his like Black Panther.
Yeah,
like I've not read any of his novels. So I've been talking like him, Malcolm Gladwell. It's on the list as well. Yeah, I feel you. I feel like I read comics all the time. So like, But I'm trying to like,
expand a little bit.
But yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, but shout out to Greg. That's so funny. It's like, oh, Greg is inspiration. Like Greg is Greg. Like Greg is Greg. Greg is Greg, but he's amazing. And also remind me, I gotta finish Paper Girls because I have not finished.
Yeah. I just got the first book, but I gotta finish the actual series. I've had this book for a while actually, but yeah, I gotta finish the series.
Absolutely, I'm not. Brian K. Vaughan is my top 5 writers for me ever.
It's a fun book, and I like the art itself. It's fitting, and it doesn't do it does just enough to like tell the story like appropriately
Absolutely.
and successfully, and that's what I like. How I think it's Cliff
Chang.
Yeah. How he uses color,
Oh
talk
yeah.
about color, to tell the story. So that's really interesting.
Yeah, I can kind of see that. Like, yeah, from what I've seen of Star World and with Paper World, I can see a correlation there. Like, I can see that I can see that it's been a subconscious influence for you on that.
Yeah. I've definitely been going through the pages and looking at some of the choices that he's been making. Similar to Bitterroot too. Looking at, for example, if you look at some of the pages on Bitterroot, you notice how I think it's Sanford Green who
Sanford Green
the art there, but how he and I actually got to reach back out to him. But
we interviewed him like 2 years ago. It was crazy. He was
he's a good guy. I'm supposed to be hopefully get a chance to do some work with them. But
absolutely hope so too.
The use of color, the use of just how they use color to paint different scenes. How there's a different palette for each scene that I've noticed in some ways, and how that how the colors, how it doesn't have to be overly rendered or overly realistic to get the point across is what I'm trying to say. And it still does so beautifully, it does so successfully, and I feel like that's something that I'm trying to lean into too, like realizing that, hey, this doesn't have to be superly like realistic or naturalistic for it to look good. Look, for example, at the artwork with Absolute Wonder Woman by
Hayden Sherman. Sherman.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
But I know Kelly Thompson has done a great job writing that book, and the art has been great as well.
That book is one of my favorite books of last year. Oh my god, love it so much.
And she actually just liked my Absolute Wonder Woman piece that I did. Oh my God, awesome. Please hit me up to do a cover for your book.
Yo, Kelly, listen, if you watch this, which I hope you watch, I want you on the show. So
hey, come on. He's great. I can attest to that firsthand. But yeah.
Okay, well, I was curious because, like, I have my favorite artist list. I have favorite writers, but I was just curious, like, if any writers have inspired you. I mean, which many have. It looks like.
Yeah.
Also, if you haven't read Saga by K. Vaughan,
you know what? I've started reading it years ago. I need to restart it.
Get back into it.
I do.
I could also see a little bit of Fiona Staples in your work, especially the way she colors stuff. Like,
okay.
Like, just give me your flowers. Just tell me right now. Just give me your flowers.
Let me lock in right quick.
But all right. So now just to talk about now Star Wielder, because right, you sent me a press kit, which again, thank you for sending me my first press kit. I felt official.
Yeah,
wow, this is what having a press kit feels like. I feel legit. Thank you, Jay. I appreciate it. But yeah, Star Wielder real quick. So you sent me the first 12 pages, and like again, I was very impressed and so proud just in those 12 pages how well your storytelling is, how good your storytelling is, how much emotion you're portraying in just those first 12 pages alone. It was very I was very happy. I was like, yeah, no, he's got something special. But just tell me, tell the audience tell us about Star Wielder, what it's about, and what inspired you to create this book, man.
Thank you. So yeah, Star Wielder is a story about turning fear into power that features a young pyrophobic Black girl from Detroit named Kiara Kelly, who one day develops the ability to wield flames. And so part of her Kiara's journey is learning to face the fear of her own strength. And so while she's going through this traumatic evolution, she's also grieving the loss of her beloved grandmother, who was a pivotal figure in her life and in the life and in the community of Detroit. And so as I'm trying to unravel the mystery of who did this and what happened to her grandmother after a very traumatic incident, Detroit, while all this is happening, Detroit is under attack, and she's the only one that can save her city. And so she's forced to face her power. She's going to be forced to face her her strength. And so putting her in these positions so that she can become her best self is really the goal here. And this was really inspired by my journey with depression, with anxiety, obsessive compulsive disorder, learning that, and also my experience with shadow work in the approach to in the psychological approach called internal family systems, which is the approach of seeing emotions as parts. So for example, as opposed to me saying I am depressed, I can say I'm experiencing depression. And so through that articulation in that kind of way, you create some space and distance between your feelings of depression and you, so that in that space you can observe your emotions without getting sucked into them. And so that allows you to practice that sense of mindfulness. And so you can say, I'm feeling depressed, but I'm noticing these feelings of depression, but I'm not getting, like I said, sucked into them. And so with Kiara and her journey, it's really about facing her shadow. It's about facing the fear of her strength through the grief, through the loss, through the pain, which is why I say the story is mostly about turning fear into power. But if I can go a little further, it's also about turning pain into power, just emotional pain like grief, despair. And we see that through Kiara's journey, through the other characters' journey, and also through Detroit, because Detroit has been treated like a character in the story, from the Birdwood segregation wall that existed, that was established in the 1950s here in Detroit, I believe, and then the 1967 Detroit uprising. So we see the history of Detroit and its history of resilience and racial tension. But in the story, we'll also see how Detroit takes that pain, that grief, and turns it into a source of strength and power, similar to Kiara's journey. So so just as much as it's about that, it's also about legacy. And so in issue 1 of Star Wielder, we see we explore the events leading up to Kiara's birth, like I said, from the Birdwood Wall, from the 67 uprising, and how it's all connected to her history and just who she is as a character.
Yeah, wow, that's amazing. And the thing is, I really did feel that way when I was reading the preview, that like Detroit feels like a living, breathing character on its own that's going through its own obstacles, along with Kiara will go through in the course of the story. And then obviously Detroit, well, you have a specific way you say a specific area of Detroit that you're from, but but I like how you're incorporating your own, I'm assuming lived experience in this in your hometown into this book, which I feel like most people do when they create their own stuff, but yeah, no, what a very inspiring kind of story, turning fear into power, overcoming obstacles through perseverance, through strength. I think that's something that especially with a young character of color, that's something that I think is really important. Like, we need to see stories like this, so that you're adding your own piece to the pot, I think is amazing. And the fact that it's coming from a personal place that you've experienced. You seem to be putting that what you've learned from your journey into this story. I think that's going to make it all the better for it. So that's amazing for real, just truly. What so is there any, so how, I mean, not to get too personal, but how healing has it been for you when creating this story?
That's a great question. I mean, I'm still going through the process. It's been very transformative. Like I said, earlier, writing has, when you allow your art to transform you, you open yourself to so much, but you have to be open to that first. If you are so stern to like, this is what it has to be, instead of being open to like different possibilities, then you never know what you could be, open yourself up to. So it has definitely transformed me into, like I said, being more empathetic and being more mindful, but also just it has inspired me to articulate myself in different ways, and just to see the world differently. And I'm excited to see where it goes as I this is only the first issue. Like, so once I get to like maybe issue, I don't know, 7 or something like that, or 5, I don't know, where I'll be there,
20. Yeah.
Right. So this story actually, so although it's technically I call it a limited ongoing because it does have it has an end. It's not going to be one like an ongoing series because I don't picture it as that, and it is not that. So this is going to. It does have an end. It's just going to probably take a while for us to get there. Yeah.
Okay, that's all right. I mean, listen, I hope you get 30. I want 30. I want Image to pick this up and just be like, we're gonna you're gonna do 30 of these. You have it's but no, for real. I'm very happy that it's creating the story is helped you personally. It's still helping you. So it's I get that it's a nice little new chapter in your journey of self-discovery and healing. So I really love and admire that for sure. But yeah, it's just I think it's like when I was reading this, I feel like obviously, when it comes to, like indie comic, what Black stories, obviously you're gonna have some social commentary. And when I was reading this, I come to the territory, but I was reading this, I thought those we're over time, but it's fine. We'll ignore it. I thought it was amazing reading those two characters of the two brothers that you have introduced. Do you want to go into more detail on those? Because I feel like you're introducing obviously you're seeing something that we're familiar with. These two brothers dealing with especially like with racism and all that stuff. But you're again mentioning empathy earlier. You're kind of taking a more empathetic approach to that angle. So can you elaborate on those why you created those two characters and what you're planning on representing?
Yeah. So in the story you have, and at least in the first issue, you have two white brothers, Kyle and Jacob Shepard. Kyle is 23, Jacob is 14, and so they're both homeless, kicked out of home by their parents. And Kyle is a police officer. Jacob is, trying to emulate his brother, make sure he is, making his brothers happy, and he wants to be like his brother because he feels like his brother's been the only one to take care of him. And so, in the story, we see Jacob. Jacob is going to be the antagonist of the story. And so how I want to explore that is by seeing how we get from point A to point B. It's easy to assume why Kyle can be the villain or whatever, but we're going to see how that sort of is inverted when Jacob is put in situations to make certain choices that transforms him into it, that gets him to a certain point in his character. And so, for example, when he meets Kiara, we see Jacob in 1967. Kiara is in present day, so two different times, right? So that's going to be interesting in and of itself, and it's not what you think. And so it's going to be an interesting dynamic because again, the story is about turning fear into power, and we see that journey, or explores the question of what does it mean to turn fear into power, and so we explore that answer both through Jacob and through Kiara. Through Kiara, we explore that answer as a lesson. Through Jacob, we explore it as a warning. So we'll see how, although they have similar journeys with regards to losing things or grief or just losing parts of self or whatever, how have you, they are going to have similar trajectories in that kind of way. But we're going to see what happens when they go make different choices. And then when those choices collide, when they eventually meet, or those worlds collide when they eventually meet. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting journey. That's kind of what I'm setting up there. And so it's not really for me, as I'm writing this a character, I would say, yes, Jacob is a white supremacist, but it's much more than that. It's also just exploring the nature of how he got to that point, because you're not born that way. And so it's easy to create a character who is just that without exploring how they got to that point. And then when they get to that point, really leaning into that, because eventually it becomes a choice once you realize what it is you're doing, and so that's what it is. That's the intention of exploring it behind that, because in an age of like Trump, in an age of hate, we see a lot of Kyles, we see a lot of Jacobs in the world. And so I want to, and I feel like it was just a perfect representation of that, of what we got, of my experience, what I actually see.
Yeah, of course. And what's interesting is that, especially like, obviously like Kyle will end up being, pretty much being a white supremacist, but I do like the fact that, you're kind of teasing here that obviously like, the idea that not everyone is born, racist. They racism is learned, it's copied, it's
you're groomed to be
exactly, you're groomed into it.
Yeah, so, that's what it is.
So I really like the fact that even though obviously when the book comes out and we read it, like Kyle is not to be liked, but you can empathize, why, like you can understand and empathize like why Kyle is the way he is. And I really like that those seeds you planted there with those two characters for sure. But and yeah, I mean, especially like in an era of Trump and the amount of hate that though this country is experiencing, and I mean, I thought that you are addressing it as it needs to be addressed. I mean, that's again, it's very important, not just Kiara's journey, but also how what's going on in the world around her, which is very real world to our own. So I mean, in a way, so
yeah, exactly,
for sure. But yeah, and so yeah, this book, you're launching a Kickstarter, right? So this book is on Kickstarter. It's been on Kickstarter for a little bit now. And I wanted to talk real quick because you got a little bit of some rewards, and all that. You're offering people. So I mean, I have two of the, because it was in the press kit. So again, love that you did the press kit. But yeah, for people, it's on Kickstarter when this video will be up, which will be tomorrow. But yeah, so tell us about some of the rewards we'll be getting. Tell us about the Kickstarter as a whole and all that.
Yeah. So
how's that experience been for you? Because I know it's your first Kickstarter. So
yeah, it's been in some ways obviously very laborious, but it's been a learning experience for sure. But yeah, like with regards to the Kickstarter, so the actual comic itself is going to be a 50+ page story with additional behind the scenes content like concept art, sketches, things like that. And so what we're going to get outside of that is, in addition to the story itself, you can also get a gold foil version of the comic. You can get gold foil prints, t-shirts, stickers. I have 2 Green Lantern Philomar signed copies,
which I thought was crazy. I was like, he's willing to give this up.
Yeah, for this I gotta sign up BlurCon. So
I know. I figured, I was like, you got the same con. You got the same Blur.
I did. Yeah.
Which I was jealous of because I didn't get a chance to get out of my table to see Philomar. So I was like, damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually have 3. I have an extra one. I probably will save that one for myself.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So, and then I have different rewards and perks and whatnot. So yeah.
But yeah, I mean, listen, you're offering a lot for for backers and all that. I know you have the digital copy, all that stuff, the Green Lantern stuff. Yeah, so you again, for someone who is doing their first Kickstarter, you're doing a good job so far in terms of the tiers and all that. So, and you get the preview of the book here, and yeah, the rewards, the Green Lantern stuff is, again, you're willing to give it up is wild, but we're I do find it funny that like you said only one person, and I was like, okay.
I could have like divided both prints into like 2 tiers. I said, no, I'm putting the one because somebody gonna be blessed. That's it.
Fair enough. And yeah, you're doing a good job, with the foils. Yeah, you're offering a lot. So yeah, not good enough. This I thought was crazy. So these two, I'll go back to my slideshow because I had them on my slideshow.
Yeah.
I thought the gold foil stuff that you have, bro, is amazing. It's ridiculous. Like it's oh my god, it's beautiful. But yeah, talk about these pieces for me real quick. Like
well, hold on, I can.
Oh yeah, you can. Oh yeah, you can just show them off. Duh, you can just show them off. What I got the slideshow for?
Okay, hold on, let me get myself together right quick.
Oh no, good. Take your time. No worries.
Hold on, I gotta get my gloves on.
Okay.
This is official. We
Okay.
surgical up in here. All right, but the reason I do put on gloves because these are like art pieces to me, and so
Absolutely,
I try to treat them as such quality that I try to sell them as, or I do sell them as. I don't like fingerprints or smudges or anything like that.
Neither do I. Bothers me.
Yeah, so let's give this a shot here.
Yeah,
so
I'll full screen you too, so that we can get the full image here. So
yeah, so let me see if I can find. All right, so we got this is the gold foil print for cover A.
Oh wow!
Let's see.
I know I got the blur there. It's all good.
There we go.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the cover A.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then we got the. Hold on one second. The print for cover B. So cover C, I don't have a print for yet, but I'm working on that.
Ooh.
Okay, here we go.
This is what I want. I want that one. I want.
Yeah.
That is gorgeous. How So I'm assuming you drew out the whole like the foil design that you did that digitally and then printed that. Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
And then for people who decide to pledge $100 or more to the campaign, you get like one of my original prints.
Woo!
So this is a new one. You haven't
That's
seen.
amazing.
Yeah, I did this one probably this year or a little after BlurCon. Yeah. I know
that background, the little details, man. That graphic design brain.
Yeah.
I'm seeing you.
Let me do one more, and then I'm going to show you. This is another original piece that I did that's newer from this year.
I gotcha.
This is called Guardian of Unfortunate Souls.
Oh wow! Amazing.
Yeah.
So what inspired you with this piece and the previous one too?
Well, this one here is actually a redrawing of an old original character that I did when I was a kid.
Oh, nice.
So I just had to redraw them, and then this other one here is called Goddess of the Reborn. So this is my take on like the goddess of life and death, for example.
Wow. So, okay, I gotcha.
Yeah. So yeah, so we got again. If you pledge $100 or more to the campaign, you get those prints. But for the cover prints, you get those if you decide to get any other. They're available on the rewards and tiers on the campaign.
I gotcha. All righty. Yeah, those look gorgeous. You gotta off camera. Well, I'm not gonna tell you on camera. But you gotta let me know who your printer is. I gotta get on that.
Oh, I can tell y'all now. I don't have my resources.
Okay.
I'll tell you right now. Go to Cat Print, y'all. Cat Print is a very great resource. Excellent customer service. They have great quality stuff. Do your thing. Do your thing on Cat Print.
I've heard of them too, so I will. I haven't looked into them, so I will. If you're using Cat Print to make those, I'm gonna get on that.
Get on it.
But yeah, I think with the fact that you're doing all these variant covers and these prints, again you're really treating folks with a good time with this campaign for sure. So but yeah, I want the one on the left. I want that one. Just let you know right now. Just that is mine. But yeah. So I mean, with the campaign, you have. I mean, you're almost there. Like, how's it feel to be almost there? You're like a little over halfway. So.
You said what?
So you're a little over halfway. So how does it feel to be like, wow, people are pledging, people are backing my stuff, people are getting rewards. Oh my god.
I mean, I'm excited. I've just gotta I know we got like 9 days to go, so it's I gotta gets to that point, so I'm like, it's a little nerve wracking. And I know with Kickstarter, it's like there's a big surge in like the last 2 days or
Oh
whatnot.
yeah.
So I'm like, I'm like, I don't want to have to wait for them to have hope.
Trust me. When Greg was on here promoting his Kickstarter for his John Henry book, he was feeling the same way. He
Yeah.
was so close, and it was like, and it was time was running down. But then the moment the last few days of the campaign, he got it. So listen, you're right. For what I can see, you're on the right track. You're gonna.
I keep hearing that. Everybody keeps saying, and you know what? I did have a friend and colleague who they had a campaign recently, and they like made 10,000 in 2 days. I thought, okay,
that's cool.
You got it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, you got
it. But yeah, no. So far you're on the right track. So don't fret on it. You're again for your first Kickstarter. You're already doing what pros are doing. So who've done Kickstarter for years. So it's I'm learning from you because like Kickstarter. Okay. I'm when I do my Kickstarter eventually. I'm
okay. Well, get on it. We waiting.
I know. But yeah, so I'm learning from all y'all who's doing Kickstarters recently. So don't worry about it. But from what I can see, you're doing all right. All right, Jay. Listen, I know we talk Star World again. I'm excited. I mean, this book is from what I've read and from talking to you about it. This book is going to be something special. So yeah, congrats on finishing the book. Congrats on the Kickstarter. But there's one thing I want to ask you about. Right, that from another project you're working on that I saw on your social media a little while ago. Mm-hmm. This little project this short comic that you've been working on called the Black Boy Who Roared.
Oh, boy, I didn't hear that.
Listen, okay, here's the thing, right? As someone again, we're graphic designers, bro. So listen, I saw that logo and I was like, that is a fucking logo. Okay, I was like, damn. What is this about? So I don't know. Again, because you're all Star. We got Star Wielder on the brain. I get it, but like, can you tell us a little bit about the Black Boy Who Roared? And while you do that, I will put up an image of it because I had to literally while we were talking, I was like, I don't have an image of this, so I have to find it. So I just just a little something, just a little something.
I mean, it's still a work in progress story. Honestly, it's
a hell of a work in progress. Look at this. This is dope.
Yeah, it's a story about a young Black boy who grew up to be nonviolent, but is thrusted in a post-American world, where again after the collapse of America, where he is forced to make violent choices and where his rage in some ways manifest into a giant beast. And so in some ways this is why I'm still thematically working on this the story. Yeah. In some ways this story answers the question of what would happen if all the rage and the hope and the resilience and the strength of Black people around the world, or even just the oppressed, but mostly Black people around the world, were to take form. And this story answers that question through the Black Boy Who Roared. And so again, you have this Clayton, who's a nonviolent kid who would rather not fight, but he learns that, at least in the lessons that he has to go through, that there may be a place for violence in the revolution and liberation. Like, for example, you learn about the Haitian Revolution. You learn about how the slaves had an uprising against their masters. Unfortunately, however you want to see it, like in some cases, violence may have a place in the resistance. And you see, for example, you look what's happening in Palestine, for example. People talk about the armed resistance and things like that. But when you are experiencing oppression over years, violent oppression over years, what do you expect people to do? Be nice to you? They're not going to, like, you have Black communities here, I think in Philly, or was it Philly or somewhere else, where you have white supremacists coming up and causing issues, and like Black people are now arming their communities, and like rightfully so. And so this story really plays with that question, like what place does violence have in that free world or in claiming or creating a world, or creating a free world. And so we explore that through Clayton here.
I gotcha. Listen, again, even though you're still cooking with it, but that's amazing. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, in terms of when we've seen, resistances, whether it's or people who are oppressed, whether it's, Palestine or Black Americans or Congo or,
Haiti, all that.
Haiti, it is that question of like when you have in the media where it's all like why are they violent? Why are they, it's like what when you've been stomped in the pavement constantly, like what's the natural reaction?
You beat my ass for so long. What do you expect me to do? Just sit there and take it?
Even though violent resistance isn't what people want to do, but
they don't. That's not. And luckily, that's not the first choice that they want to do.
Absolutely, right. Yeah, of course,
because it leads to loss. It leads to, in some cases, can lead to more violence. But in some cases, that may be the answer. Like when you're self-defending yourself or whatever, or you're defending others, like there is a place for that. Like if the police are coming after somebody, or you see someone being attacked, you're not just going to be like, "Hey, stop, please, peace." No, you're going to intervene. You're going to like get a little violent. You're going to like throw some hands a little bit. I would
imagine. Right? It's just like it's the Martin Luther King effect. It's like peaceful, the Gandhi effect. It's like peaceful protest, which is nice. Again, it works. Sometimes you got Malcolm X it a little bit.
There's a place for everything, and Diana, for example, has this precept that was written in one of Gail Simone's runs by Wonder Woman, with Wonder Woman, where she says something along the lines of like, her ideology is she doesn't raise a hand unless she absolutely has to.
Yes.
And I like that idea. Like even superheroes in general, like a lot of them are, they use violence to solve issues.
Yep.
But it's direct. It's very specific, specific kind of violence, like a punch or bad guy or whatever.
Exactly.
I mean, it's minor compared to like other stuff, but it's still violence. And so that is sort of the journey that we're going to take Clayton on. Who is a soft-hearted. I wanted to just depict this because we see Black boys often being harsh and hard. I wanted to depict this soft-hearted, really kind Black boy. He wants justice in the world, but his way of doing it is not working. So he has to discover how can he maintain his sense of self, be who he is, or also transforming into something that the world needs him to be.
Absolutely, that's great. And the thing is, I know. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing. Even though I had to refresh you a little bit to tell me more about it, but I'm very looking forward to seeing where Clayton goes on. What he discovers to go on this journey of because we were right. Like seeing it's more interesting having a softer kid in going down, or discovering like what he needs to do in order to accomplish what he believes, peace and resist peace in the world but unfortunately through violent resistance. That's a really interesting character conflict that you got going on there, for sure. But I'm looking forward to it whenever it drops. I'm sorry, I saw the logo and I was I gotta ask about this because this is a dope logo, and I was like, there's a story behind this. Okay, but to close off, Jay. So I always ask this question, close off. So what advice would you give to aspiring artists or creators like yourself? What would you? I know you've said a lot throughout the course of the day, but I was like, what is the absolute advice you would give to aspiring creators looking to get into?
I can just say like what I said on a previous interview. I think one thing you want to make sure that one thing you want to do is know your why. When you're creating and you are trying to figure out, what kind of story you want to tell, what kind of story needs to exist, or whatever, what have you, know your why. Why are you doing this? Why does that story need to exist? Why you, or why not you, for example. And so really explore that question to understand, who you are as a person and how it connects to the work that you're doing, so that when you are having moments where you are doubting yourself or feeling hopeless or like I can't do this, then you are able to reference your why and remember who the hell you are and to get yourself through that experience. And so, yeah, I would say know your why. You know, why are you an artist? You know, why did you choose this path?
That's very deep advice. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, so your other people discover your why, and I'm gonna do that. You know, I'm taking Jay's advice. I'm gonna do that. but you know, absolutely, Jay. Well said for sure. And it's just, you know, discovering the identity will go the distance as a creator for sure. That's what many artists have told me, you know, throughout the course of my own journey. So you are, you know, you're attributing to that fact for sure. But Jay, and thank you so much for joining me on this, man. It was again nice to see you again. Nice talking with you, like in person or relatively in person. So, but yeah. Do you want to let them know people where they can find you, and anything you want to plug? You do so now.
Yeah, at I'm Jay Hero on all social media platforms, or most social media platforms, I would say. At I, the letter M, JAYHERO.
Absolutely, and people. Please. Again, I'm gonna also make a post about this when this podcast drops on the community tab. But please support the Kickstarter. It is active. It's 9 days out of now, but it'll probably be 8 tomorrow. Doesn't matter how many days there are. Please support this Kickstarter. Jay has something really special with Star Wars going on, and we need stories like this. What he's doing, and stories that are empathetic, emotional, you know, impactful. You know, it's what you're doing is amazing. So people need to support this. So please go on the Kickstarter, and I'll put a link in the description below, and also make a post with the link on there as well. And yeah. So Jay, thank you so much, and I'll just do my outro real quick. So thanks for everyone who are watching this or will watch this. We appreciate it. Please hit the subscribe button so you can, you know, support all we do, and hit the notification bell so that you can let us know so you can get notified on all the content we've dropped. We're dropping a lot. Yeah, you know, got lovely interview. Jay doing an interview. Greg did an interview. Keith Cross did an interview. Alex Cormack did an interview. We've been doing interviews a lot this year, which is great because I want. It's funny, Jay. It's like I've been podcasting for a little while now, and I was like, I want to try to get, you know, the Mark Wades, which I did, and then you know, the Kayvons, but like I realized I know so many creators myself because I forget I know people. You know,
going to cons and stuff. I
go to cons and stuff. I know people. I have colleagues who are making great stuff like yourself. So so I've just been doing that. It's like, hey, listen, you want to come on the show? Just get on the show, talk your shit. You know, so, but yeah, and you know, and people with Superman review, we did that. So Jay, when you're done here and you watch Superman, check out our review.
Okay.
We read a bunch of reviews, like check out our reviews, check out our clips, check out other interviews, check out the gaming stuff, check out the reactions, and we appreciate what we do. We appreciate the love and support from what we're doing here on the Indie Corner podcast. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'll always get home safe, and we'll catch y'all next time. All right, peace.